everybody, this is Youmna and welcome to my channel youmsbooks. I am back today with another video. I know the last time I've uploaded on this channel was 2 months ago, but I have an excuse. I was back at home in Reunion Island and I was back with my family. I am here to talk to you about how hard it can be to dedicate your time to what you love, your hobbies. For me, it is reading and I have always loved doing it. So this is going to be a sit-down video. I haven't really planned the whole outline of the video. I wanted it to be quite a spontaneous one. I know myself, if I had taken more time to plan it, I wouldn't have done it. I've been putting it off for about 2 weeks now, but now it's time to start. Actually, this is one of the main ideas that I wanted to get across. Sometimes you just have to start again. Life is not linear. You have moments where you have time to do anything you want. Sometimes it feels like you don't have a say in life. Okay, I have a big question to literary content creators or anyone for whom reading is part of their job. How do you do it? How do you do it? I started this channel thinking it could allow me to be more consistent with reading and discovering new books. But sometimes you just can't, can you? Alright, the first thing I wanted to talk about was my experience with reading. I thought as an introduction to this video, it could be a good idea to talk about my relationship with books and with reading. I am a bit of a genius. I started reading at 2.5 years old and I loved it. I loved being just by myself with a good book, or even if it had a lot of images, of pictures. Like, it was mostly picture books, but I was just so curious about them, and those letters, those words that I couldn't make sense of before, they just started making sense. It was just a way of escaping to other worlds. To places I could only imagine. Alright, so that was the first part of my life with books. The second part was kinda a bit more complicated, right? As you may have guessed, I did study books at uni. I've always had a very literary mind and mindset. I always loved social sciences, human sciences, such as philosophy, history. These are the subjects that really stuck to me at school and that I wanted to get more into. That is when it started becoming complicated. My relationship with books became a forced one. I was forced to read books for philosophy, for French class, or English class. I was forced to read books that I didn't choose. And doing that really affected my relationship with them. Alright, so hear me out. I do believe that when you add the aspect of being forced to read to a hobby or something you really like, then it's just not a hobby anymore, or not entirely a hobby anymore. But at the same time, I think that it can allow you to discover new things and new books that you wouldn't have found if you weren't forced to read them. So it is quite complex. My relationship with books was a forced one, but I still enjoyed discovering Louis Aragon. For example, Victor Hugo is one of my favorite authors. I've loved discovering 3 of his main novels. So there was Les Travailleurs de la Mer, there was of course Notre-Dame de Paris, and 93. Everyone knows that he writes beautifully and that his style is amazing, and he has conquered literature, French literature as a whole, I believe. But yeah, Victor Hugo wouldn't have been one of my favorite authors if I wasn't forced to read him at uni, for example. Being forced to read can allow you to discover new things. Now moving on to my second point, which is the importance of procrastination, or as I call it, the importance of taking time off. So procrastination is one of those words I found out when I was about 15 or 16 years old, And when I saw the definition of it, it described perfectly what it felt in my head. Procrastination is often seen as a negative thing, which I understand. It can be associated to things such as laziness, boredom, elements that are often seen negatively, especially in our capitalist world. I don't want to go too much into this idea of capitalism, and in the Western world especially, work is seen as a good thing. It is seen as a positive thing. Working a lot, hustling, the hustle, the idea of métro boulot dodo, the idea that you should focus on work and on profit and on how to do more, be more. And lately I've been thinking about this vision and this idea, that philosophy of hustling, of doing things, of doing, always doing more. Of course, sometimes it is a good thing to try to improve yourself and learn new things. But in my opinion, I think it is so important to take time off also. You cannot be 100% all the time. If you spend 100% of your energy doing things every day, you end up burning out. You end up being too tired to do anything else, and I don't think this is the best option. That may be controversial, but I think procrastination can sometimes be the remedy to all that. Taking the time to do nothing, to stop having so many goals, and following that idea of always wanting more. If I transfer that idea to the idea of procrastinating reading, which is what I'm feeling right now, it just makes sense. Having a big list of books to read for summer, for example, is not the solution to enjoy reading. For example, these last 2 months, I haven't read as much as I've wanted to. I had a list, I had a goal list of books, but it was just impossible for me to do it. You just need to take time off to come back in a better mood and to come back wanting to read. Alright, so now moving on to the last part of this video, which is quality over quantity. Okay, of course I am not inventing anything. I'm just telling you what's in my mind right now, and especially regarding books and reading. I have always loved reading. That's what I've been telling for the past 10 minutes. Alright, so quality over quantity. So it can be hard to find good books, like genuinely good books that you want to advise to other people, to talk about, to read more than once. And sometimes reading a lot of books is a means of bringing you to the best books you've ever read. It's not necessarily the solution. I do not have the time to read a lot of books. I have other priorities in my life. So I found another solution, which is just reading big books. Alright, so hear me out. I have been reading The Count of Monte Cristo for 8 months now. It is over 1,000 pages long. I think that sometimes I just put too much pressure on myself to read a lot, when I could just take my time to read 1 book or 2 books that are really important to me. Since the beginning of the year, I stopped reading The Count of Monte Cristo and started another big book, which is The Lord of the Rings. I am so happy and proud of myself for reading the whole Lord of the Rings books, and it has become one of my new favorite books. Reading it was just a whole new experience. Even if that's the only book I read during the whole year, I'm just so happy because it brought me new feelings. It brought me the enjoyment that I had lost. So to finish with this video, I wanted to just conclude by telling you that it is okay to stop doing what you like for 2 months, 3 months, or maybe just a week. If that's what your mind needs, then it's what you should do. Or at least that's my opinion. I am no one to tell you anything. And if you've watched the video until the end, thank you, first of all. But also, I think that maybe you needed someone to tell you it's okay, and stop feeling guilty about it. It's alright. So if I could give only one tip to start reading again, it will be no pressure. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Sometimes what we think is good for us is not necessarily the best thing to do. And for me, it was reading. I was not in the best place to do it, but now I am very excited to start again. It is okay to just move at your own pace. You don't have to compare yourself to other people. Just compare yourself to yourself. It's just enough. Okay, so I'm rambling now. I think I'm going to end this video, and thank you so much for watching this video. Please tell me in the comments your tips to be more organized and to dedicate more time to what you love. If you've come this far and you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a thumbs up. See you next time.